Hello, dear DSC candidates. Welcome back to my Grammar for Success channel. I am Koresh Babu, a retired lecturer in English from Hyderabad. In this video, I am going to explain all about the methodology questions given in the DSC 2025 Model Question Paper 6. I therefore request all of you to watch this video till the end without skipping it in the middle. I also request all of you to consider subscribing to my channel and also sharing this video with all your friends who are also going to take the DSC examination along with you very shortly. Thank you so much. Now let's get into the video. Questions on methodology. Okay. In this methodology, there are as many as 40 questions, and now I am going to deal with all of them very elaborately and all that. Okay, and here you pay attention. 121st question. Chomsky's, that is Noam Chomsky's language acquisition device. So in short, it is called LAD, is central to which theory? Now look at the options given. Behaviorism, this is not the right one. Nativism is the right one. Structuralism, not the right one. Humanism, not the right one. So only nativism is only the right one, and this language acquisition device is central only to this nativism, and therefore your answer is the B1. But if I simply say like this, you just don't understand my style of teaching and my way of teaching. I must give you the explanation for why this is right and why these are wrong. Okay, then only you can understand my answer is absolutely correct. Okay, here behaviorism is there. What is this behaviorism? Behaviorism is a theory, okay, which emphasizes the fact that all behaviors are acquired only through interaction with environment, only through interaction with the environment. So that is the theory of behaviorism. So that means all the behaviors are acquired only through interaction with the environment. For example, a child is there that learns to say thank you, okay, that learns to say thank you because the parents will teach him how to say thank you whenever something is given to him. He is asked to say something. So whenever he says thank you, the parents of this child will praise him and reward him. And then what happens now? Then this boy keeps on saying that expression thank you for everything. He keeps on saying because he has learned to saying that thank you only from interaction with the parents, and that is why this is called behaviorism. And in that way, through behaviorism, people learn so many things in their life. So this is behaviorism. The notable figures of this theory are B.F. Skinner, I think, B.F. Skinner, and also B.T. Watson. I think they are the notable figures of this theory. And nativism is there. What is this nativism? It is the theory that says all skills and abilities are native or inborn. So that means all the human beings are born with an innate capacity for language and knowledge. And one example I would like to give you here. The children will pick up from their parents or from the teachers, from their neighbors and all that, certain complex grammatical structures, even without formal teaching and all that. So last night, my grandson, second grandson, was calling me on phone and saying, Tataya, when do you send me the educational toy? I bought some toy for him on Amazon. So that is called USA Mapology with capitals. So his job is in that, so there will be a big map and blocks will be there. For example, California state. Where is California? The boy will take up that California and put it in the place because he knows where that California is. And North Carolina, South Carolina, like that. Where is Florida? Where is Georgia? So there are as many as 50 states in that USA. So the boy is supposed to keep the blocks in their respective places. So I bought that beautiful educational toy for my grandson a few weeks ago, and I told him about that. And last night he was asking me for that, and he says, "When do you send me that educational toy?" See, who has taught him that beautiful, style of framing question? Nobody has taught me. He's just a 5-year-old boy, but he was able to say that. That means, children will have that innate ability. innate capacity for language and knowledge, and therefore they could pick up that language from their teachers, from their parents, from their neighbors, from their friends, and from their others, so on. So that is the ability, that is the capacity this human brain has. Okay, and even without formal teaching, they know all these things. Not only this one, several things he knows. My grandson knows several things. This because not only my grandson, everybody, every child will have that kind of capacity, and this supports the idea of inborn language acquisition device. స్వతహాగా మనిషిలో ఈ లాంగ్వేజ్ అక్విజిషన్ డివైస్ అనేది ఉంటుంది, అండ్ దేర్ ఫోర్ హీ విల్ బి ఏబుల్ టు పిక్ అప్ ద లాంగ్వేజ్ ఫ్రమ్ అదర్స్. సో దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ నేటివిజం. Right, and here structuralism is there. What is this structuralism? What is this structuralism? Structuralism means it is the psychology. It is the psychology that aims to understand the structure of the mind. This psychology aims to understand the structure of the mind by analyzing its components. So this mind has got some components in it. What does this mind do? It will have some components, three components: thoughts, feelings, okay, and sensations. So it has got all these things in it. It has got components. Three components are there. Thoughts are there in the mind, feelings are there in the mind, and sensations are also there in the mind, isn't it? So that is why that is called structuralism. And if you ask somebody for the experience of eating an apple, what does he do? He will immediately say his experience in terms of sweetness, crunchiness, and redness and all that, because he has eaten a red apple, and he has eaten a sweet apple, he has eaten a crunchy apple, and therefore his mind gives out the experience of eating that apple, and therefore he is able to tell his experience in terms of sweetness, crunchiness, and redness and all that. So that is why this mind has that capacity. So that structure of the mind is very important, and it has got three components: thoughts, feelings, and sensations. What can a mind do? It can give thoughts for you, feelings for you, sensations for you. So this is therefore called this structuralism, and this psychology was proposed by Wilhelm Wundt and Edward Titchener. These are the two persons who have proposed this structuralism. And coming to this humanism, what is this humanism? Humanism is nothing but the psychological, what is that? It's nothing but the psychological perspective. Okay, perspective. It is the psychological perspective. It emphasizes the human growth potential and self actualization. Self actualization means realization or fulfillment of one's full potential. That is called self actualization. So here this is a psychological perspective that emphasizes human growth and human potential and self actualization, and that is all about this humanism. This humanism says that human beings are inherently good and motivated to grow and achieve personal, and this humanism says that humans are inherently good and motivated to grow and achieve their personal goals. And the notable figures of this psychological movement are what is it? Carl Rogers, okay, Carl Rogers, and Abraham Maslow. So these are the noted figures of this theory, and B.F. Skinner and B.T. Watson. So these are the two notable persons of this behaviorism, and Noam Chomsky is the notable figure of this nativism. Wilhelm Wundt and Edward Titchener are the notable figures of this structuralism, and Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow are the notable figures of this humanism. See, for this one question, I can give you this much of explanation. If I keep on giving this much of explanation for each and everything, this video will go for 2 hours or 3 hours like that. Whatever it is, wherever I come across some important aspect, okay, I will be teaching you all about that. So this is all about these 4 options. And now you move on to the second question. 122, ZPD. ZPD means zone of proximal development. It is associated with here Jean Piaget, no. Noam Chomsky, no. Stephen Krashen, no. But only Lev Vygotsky. This is only the right answer. Here, let me tell you about this zone of proximal development. This concept, okay, this concept was developed by this psychologist Lev Vygotsky. This zone of proximal development refers to what? Refers to the gap. Okay, gap. What is that gap? The gap between what a child or what a learner can do independently, and what he can do with guidance and support from a teacher. సొంతంగా తాను ఏమి చేయగలడు, టీచర్ యొక్క సహాయంతో తాను ఏం చేయగలడు, ఈ రెండింటి మధ్య ఉన్న ఆ గ్యాప్ను రెఫర్ చేసేదే ఇగో జోన్ ఆఫ్ ప్రాక్సిమల్ డెవలప్మెంట్. That is there. So, and this was a beautiful concept developed by Lev Vygotsky, the famous psychologist. Okay, right. Let us now move on to other questions. 23rd question. The affective filter hypothesis highlights the impact of, what does it highlight? Cognitive overload? No. What is that? Auditory discrimination? No. Age and gender? No. But emotional states on learning. So that is the right option. Why this is the right means, no. Now let me talk to you about this affective filter hypothesis. What is this affective filter hypothesis? It is nothing but a part of Stephen Krashen's, okay, Stephen Krashen, you know very well this Stephen Krashen's theory. He has proposed a theory of what is that second language acquisition. So this is the theory, and in that theory this is only a part, and here it suggests that certain emotional factors. What are the emotional factors? Okay, anxiety, so that is one emotional factor. Okay, confidence, okay, confidence, motivation, okay, motivation, and next his attitude, okay, his attitude towards the language, okay, his attitude. So these are all the emotional factors can impact, okay, can impact what? The learner's ability to acquire the second language. So this is what this affective filter hypothesis suggests. So these emotional factors will either facilitate, okay, facilitate or block what? The language input from being processed by the brain. ఇవన్నీ కూడాను లాంగ్వేజ్ ఇన్పుట్ను మరి ప్రాసెస్ చేయడంలో ఇంపాక్ట్ చూపిస్తుంటాయి. ఈ ఫ్యాక్టర్స్ లాంగ్వేజ్ ఇన్పుట్ మన బ్రెయిన్ అనేది ప్రాసెస్ చేయడానికి ఫెసిలిటేట్ చేయవచ్చును, బ్లాక్ కూడా చేయవచ్చు. Therefore this affective filter, okay, affective filter, okay, if it is low, the learning will be high. If it is high, what is that? The learning will be low. Okay, that is there. Affective filter తక్కుంటే ఎక్కువ నేర్చుకోవచ్చును, ఎక్కువ ఉంటే తక్కువ నేర్చుకోవచ్చును. And that is why in a classroom where there is a comfortable and friendly atmosphere, and where there is a supportive teacher, the children can learn the things faster. That is the reason, because then what happens now, the emotional factors will be very positive towards the learning, and therefore the children can learn the things very fast. Whereas in the classroom where the situation is very, you can say, harsh and very strict and all that, the students feel very much embarrassed, and therefore they cannot learn anything very fast and all that. అందుకే చూడండి, హ్యాపీగా ఉన్నప్పుడు పిల్లవాడు అన్ని సమాధానాలు టకా చెప్తుంటాడు. కాకపోతే ఒక దెబ్బ కొట్టి తర్వాత బెత్తం పట్టుకొని వాడిని అడుగు, వాడు చెప్పడానికి భయపడుతూ ఉంటాడు. అంటే అర్థమైంది, వాడు హ్యాపీగా ఉన్నప్పుడు చెప్తున్నాడు అంటే ద అఫెక్టివ్ filter is low at that time, and therefore he is able to say all the answers. Betam పట్టుకొని మన కొట్టడా ఒక దెబ్బ కొట్టిన తర్వాత అడిగితే వాడు ఏమవుతాడు, then the affective filter will be very high, and therefore there will be low learning. ఇలా వాడు ఆన్సర్ చెప్పలేడు, ఏం నేర్చుకోలేడు. So that is the reason. So that's a beautiful theory proposed by this Stephen Krashen. I cannot give all the details of this affective filter hypothesis, and I'm able to give you the things very briefly. So in this way, these emotional factors only are responsible for the learner's learning. Okay, if the affective filter is low, his learning will be high. If the affective filter is high, his learning will be low. So that is the thing. Okay, and that's why here emotional states, emotional factors on learning. So that is because affective filter hypothesis highlights the impact of what emotional states on learning. So if a boy is filled with anxiety, can he learn anything very well? No. If the child is very much embarrassed, if the child is not feeling well, what happens? He cannot learn anything, and therefore emotional states will show their impact on learning. Emotional factors or emotional states, anything you can say, they will show impact on learning. So that is the meaning of this. Now you move on to other questions. 124th question, the main function of diagnostic assessment. Diagnostic assessment itself means testing. So you conduct a test. Why? In order to rank students? No. Provide grades? No. Certify learning? No. But only to identify learning gaps. That means this test is generally conducted only to ascertain from the children whether they are learning all the things properly or not, whether they are progressing or regressing in that particular area. Okay, whether they are feeling comfortable or not. So that's why that is therefore called diagnostic assessment. Therefore this kind of test is called a diagnostic assessment, and only the B is the right one. And now you move on to other questions. 125th question, which method emphasizes learning a second language as a habit formation? So you happen to learn the second language as a habit formation. As a habit formation means you pick up automatically from your neighbors and from your friends. Suppose your friend is a Tamilian, then what happens? You pick up that second language. Your mother tongue is Telugu, but his mother tongue is Tamil. And what are you doing? Now you are befriending with him, and therefore you are able to pick up that Tamil from him. So that is called a habit formation. Suppose your friend is a Muslim. What do? You pick up some Urdu from that boy. That's quite natural. This mind doesn't keep quiet. It will learn automatically certain things from that Muslim boy or from that Tamil boy. So that is called habit formation. And here options are cognitive approach, no. Grammar translation method, no. Lexical approach, no. But audio lingual method. So only through audio lingual method. So what happened now? Whenever the audio is played in the class, what happens now? The children can pick up some words or some sentences from that audio. Class lo audio play చేసామనుకో, ఏదన్నా ఆడియో వీడియో ప్లే చేస్తే ఫ్రమ్ దట్ ఆడియో ఆర్ ఫ్రమ్ దట్ వీడియో ద చిల్డ్రన్ విల్ పిక్ అప్ some words or some sentences or some phrases. So that is therefore called habit formation, right? And here all others are wrong, only this one is the right one. And you go to the next one, 126th one. The TBLT task is defined as, TBLT means task based language technique. So in this task based means the entire teaching will be based on task. Okay, some task is given to the students. They have to perform the task, they have to carry out the task. So after carrying out, what happens now? They learn so many things from that task, and that is, the task is defined as any classroom activity. No, any classroom activity is not called the task. Task itself means any grammatical exercise, no. Memorization based practice, no. But only goal oriented communicative ability. So task means what? Goal oriented. That means this task should have some goal, some purpose. Okay, and through communicative activity. So therefore only the goal oriented communicative activity itself is called the task in this TBLT, task based language technique. Okay, and now you move on to other questions. 127th question, scaffolding is a key strategy in. So this is a beautiful question, and before we look at the options given, let me give you some idea about the scaffolding. The scaffolding is nothing but a beautiful teaching, okay, strategy. Okay, beautiful teaching strategy. Okay, where the teacher provides some temporary support. Okay, temporary support to help the students achieve their task which they cannot complete independently. తామే స్వయంగా చెయ్యలేనటువంటి పనులను ముగించడానికి, పూర్తి చేయడానికి టీచరు అందించే ఆ టెంపరరీ సపోర్ట్ ని స్కఫోల్డింగ్ అంటారు. వన్స్ ద స్టూడెంట్స్ గెయిన్ కాన్ఫిడెన్స్ అండ్ ఎబిలిటీ, ఓకే, when the students can start doing the things independently, the teacher will withdraw his or her support. So that is also there, right? That is a beautiful idea, scaffolding. And what are the options given? Classical conditioning, no. The silent way, no. Constructive learning, yes. That is called constructivist learning. Only in the constructivist learning this scaffolding is there. Direct method, no. So let me talk to you about this constructivist learning. What is this constructivist learning? Here you pay attention. This constructivist learning is a theory. Okay, it is a theory which states that learners can build up their own knowledge. Okay, learners can build up their own knowledge actively but not passively, only by doing, thinking and interacting with others. అంటే ఏదో పనులు చేయడం ద్వారా, ఆలోచించడం ద్వారా, ఇతరులతో ఇంటరాక్ట్ అవ్వడం ద్వారా లెర్నర్స్ తమకంటూ కొంత జ్ఞానాన్ని పెంపొందించుకుంటారు అనేటటువంటి ఆ థియరీని దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ కన్స్ట్రక్టివిస్ట్ లెర్నింగ్ అంటారు. దిస్ స్కఫోల్డింగ్ is a teaching strategy and it is a part and parcel of this constructivist learning. So because in that, the teachers will come to the help of the students if they fail to do anything independently. స్వతహాగా పిల్లలు చెయ్యలేనటువంటి పరిస్థితి వస్తే టీచర్లు వచ్చి కొంత సహాయం చేస్తారు, మిగతా వాళ్ళే చేసుకుంటారు. సో దట్స్ వై ఇట్స్ a scaffolding is a beautiful teaching strategy where the teachers provide temporary support to the students. So that's the main thing, and here is a key strategy in what? In the constructivist learning. So this is okay. You go to the next one, 128th question. Which of these features is not part of communicative competence? Communicative competence means what? In simple terms, communicative competence is not just knowing how to say something, how to say something. Communicative competence means not just knowing how to say something, but when, where, why and to whom you say it effectively and appropriately. ఇలా చెప్తున్నావు అన్నది ఒక్కటే ముఖ్యం కాదు, కానీ ఎప్పుడు, ఎక్కడ, ఎందుకు, ఎవరితో అది చెబుతున్నావు, that too effectively and appropriately అనేది ముఖ్యం. So that is what communicative competence tells you. Communicative competence includes grammatical, okay, sociolinguistic and discourse and strategic competencies. Okay, ఈ communicative competences లో grammatical competence is there, sociolinguistic competence is there, and discourse competence is there, and also this strategic competence. So when all these four competences come together, that becomes the communicative competence. And therefore here the question is, which of these features is not part of communicative competence? Means here grammatical competence is okay, it's a part of this. Discourse competence, it is okay. Strategic competence is okay, but computational competence is not okay, and that's why this is only the not part of communicative competence that is there. And now you move on to other questions. 129th question. Chunking in vocabulary development refers to. What is this chunking? Okay, it's a beautiful concept. Let me give you some idea about this chunking. So this chunking is nothing but the process. Okay, it is the process of breaking down. Okay, breaking down what? Complex information. This is very important. If the information is complex, then it becomes very difficult for you to keep it in mind or to remember it. Complex information అంటే దాన్ని గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవడం కష్టం. కాబట్టి the process of breaking down complex information into smaller, that is important, smaller and convenient, okay, units. Okay, convenient. These units are called chunks, in other words. ఈ కాంప్లెక్స్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ను స్మాలర్ యూనిట్స్ ఆర్ కన్వీనియంట్ యూనిట్స్ గా బ్రేక్ డౌన్ చేసుకోవడము ఎందుకోసము? yes, in order to understand, okay, in order to understand and remember it. This is very important. This is the purpose of breaking down the information into smaller units. ఈ పెద్ద ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్, ఈ కష్టతరమైన ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ చిన్న ముక్కలుగా, చంక్స్ గా మరి విడగొట్టుకోవడం. ఎందుకంటే టు అండర్స్టాండ్ ఇట్ అండ్ ఆల్సో టు రిమెంబర్ ఇట్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, సమ్ లాంగ్ what is that phone number is there. Okay, you take my own phone number. Okay, if I say this, you cannot just understand it. What is that? 798182271158, something like that. If I say that, you cannot understand it. But if I say 79818 and 27158, so some break is given here. I have broken down this number, long number. Okay, 79818 then whenever I break it and tell you that, you can easily understand that. And during my college life also, I used to tell them my personal phone number. Okay, iPhone phone number, in a dramatic way, and the students could remember that orally very easily. Because that is very easy, because whenever you find a big passage, you just say it is the process of breaking down complex information into smaller and convenient units. So you are breaking down that bigger information into smaller units. That itself is called chunking. Dani chunking ani antaru, right? And here you pay attention. Breaking words into syllables, no. Learning through dictionaries, no. Memorizing word families, no. Learning lexical phrases as units. Lexical phrases means dictionary phrases. For example, so at the end of the year, so there's a big phrase. At the fag end of the month, okay, yes, by the way, there are so many things. On the contrary, okay, by hook or by crook, it's a big phrase. You cannot learn it piece by piece. No, when you learn the lexical phrases as units, that itself is called chunking. Okay, yes, this is only the right option. And you move on to the next question. The grammar translation method is often criticized for. About this grammar translation method, pretty well. And here you look at the options given. Overuse of visuals, no. For this, it is not criticized. Encouraging L2 thinking. For this, it is not criticized. Emphasis on real communication. For this also, it is not criticized. But it is criticized for neglecting speaking skills. So that is there. ఈ మిగతా 3 పనులు చేస్తున్నందుకు క్రిటిసైజ్ చేయబడలేదు ఈ యొక్క మెథడ్. బట్ నెగ్లెక్టింగ్ స్పీకింగ్ స్కిల్స్ నెగ్లెక్ట్ చేస్తున్నందుకు ఇగో ఈ గ్రామర్ ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ మెథడ్ చాలా క్రిటిసిజానికి, విమర్శకు గురయ్యింది. అండ్ నౌ యూ మూవ్ ఆన్ టు అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్. 131st question. Washback effect refers to. And what is this washback? Washback is nothing but the term that refers to what? Refers to the effect of testing. The effect of testing. The effect of testing. So this effect of testing, you hold a test and there will be some effect of the testing. So then that effect of testing is called washback. So washback effect. So it refers to the effect of testing on teaching and learning. This effect of teaching can be positive. Okay, it can also be negative. Okay, so here what is that? The test is going to be conducted only on grammar. Take for granted. So the teachers will teach the students only all about grammar, but not about the spoken skills and all that. That leads to negative effect of testing. Negative washback. ఇలా ఒకటి చెప్పమన్నప్పుడు ఇంకోటి చెప్పడం మర్చిపోతే, ఒకటి చెప్తున్నప్పుడు ఇంకోటి కూడా దాని వెంబడి చెప్తే బాగుంటుంది. గ్రామర్ చెప్తూ గ్రామర్ టెస్ట్ ఉంటుంది కదా, గ్రామర్ మీద టెస్ట్ అనగానే ఓన్లీ గ్రామర్ చెప్పి స్పోకెన్ స్కిల్స్ మర్చిపోతే దట్ లీడ్స్ టు నెగటివ్ వాష్బ్యాక్. సో హియర్ టీచింగ్లోనైనా లెర్నింగ్లోనైనా ఎఫెక్ట్ ఆఫ్ టెస్టింగ్ను that is called washback effect. And here you pay attention. Grading pattern, no. Impact means effect of assessment on teaching, right? And transfer of knowledge, no. Student errors, no. So that is not the right one. And here you pay attention. A spiral curriculum is characterized by. So about the spiral curriculum, I think I have told you in some other video. So anyway, here also I would like to talk to you about this spiral curriculum. Spiral curriculum is nothing but revisiting the same old topics that you learnt in the previous classes. Suppose you are in the 10th class and you have to remember the things that you learnt in the 8th class and in the 9th class. That's why repeatedly over a period of time you have to revisit them. Revisit them means you have to just look at them and each time at a deeper, okay, and more complex level, more complex level. ఓకే, మరి సేమ్ ఓల్డ్ టాపిక్స్ రివిజిట్ చేసేటప్పుడు మరి గ్రాడ్యువల్గా దాని యొక్క ఎట్ ఎ డీపర్ లెవెల్ కొన్ని టాపిక్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఫస్ట్ మామూలు టాపిక్ చూసుకుంటాం, దాని తర్వాత నెక్స్ట్ డీపర్ లెవెల్, ఆ తర్వాత ఇంకా మోర్ కాంప్లెక్స్ లెవెల్, అలా చూసుకుంటూ పోతుంటాం అట్లా. సో దట్ ఈస్ దేర్ ఓల్డ్ టాపిక్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా, సేమ్ టాపిక్స్ను. సో అదే 8th క్లాస్లో కొన్ని విషయాలు చెప్తారు, 9th క్లాస్ ఇంకెక్కువ విషయాలు చెప్తారు, 10th క్లాస్ ఇంకెక్కువ విషయాలు చెప్తుంటారు. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ దేర్, ద లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ కాంప్లెక్సిటీ ఈజ్ ఇంక్రీజింగ్. The level of complexity is increasing year by year. So when you revisit all of them, you have to revisit them every time at a deeper and more complex level. That is very important. And here you pay attention, repetition of the same lesson. Same lesson if you repeat, that's not the spiral curriculum. That's not the characteristic of spiral curriculum. Gradual increase in complex, this is the characteristic of this spiral curriculum. And learning one topic deeply, separate units with no link. So here gradual increase in complexity of the topics is one of the characteristics of this spiral curriculum. అంటే గతించిన విషయాలు చూసుకుంటప్పుడు మొదట మామూలు లెవెల్, తర్వాత నెక్స్ట్ లెవెల్ అంటే యూ షుడ్ ఇంక్రీజ్ ద లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ కాంప్లెక్సిటీ డే బై డే. రోజుకు ఆ లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ కాంప్లెక్సిటీ పెంచుకుంటూ పోవాలి, అంతే తప్ప చిన్న విషయం మళ్ళీ చూసుకుంటే వాట్ ఈస్ ద మీనింగ్ ఇన్ దట్? There is no meaning at all. That's why so every time when you revisit that same topics, you must look at them at a deeper and more complex level, and that is only the main characteristic of this spiral curriculum. Okay, now you move on to the next question. 133rd question. In phonology, plosives are phonology means the science of speech sounds is called phonology, and plosives are nasal sounds. No, plosives are not the nasal sounds. Fricative sounds, no. Glide sounds, no. But only stop consonants. Stop consonants means you stop for a while and then you pronounce this. For example, P is there. How do you pronounce it? P. How do you pronounce it? First you close your lips, then you release the air all of a sudden. That is how a plosive is pronounced. Ba, 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 pa, pa, pa. So here pa and ba. So these are the plosives, and they are called stops consonants also, and therefore this is only your right answer. And now you go to the next question. Intensive reading aims to develop. Intensive reading means deep reading. Extensive reading is different, of course. Extensive reading, I write here itself. Extensive reading is you can say wide reading. That is called extensive reading. Vistrutanga chadavadam vere, lotuga chadavadam vere. So don't get confused with these words. This is extensive reading, this is intensive reading. Intensive reading means in-depth reading. లోతైన రీడింగ్ అంటే లోతుగా చదవడం, అంటే మరింత డీప్గా చదువుతాం. సో డీప్లీ రీడింగ్. ఇంటెన్సివ్ రీడింగ్ ఎయిమ్స్ టు డెవలప్ వాట్? రీడింగ్ స్పీడ్, నో. ప్లెజర్ రీడింగ్, నో. రీడింగ్ అలౌడ్, నో. డీటెయిల్డ్ కాంప్రిహెన్షన్. You are reading intensively means you are trying to comprehend the whole matter. లోతుగా చదువుతున్నావు అంటే ఆ మ్యాటర్ అంతటి నువ్వు అవగాహన చేసుకోవడానికి ప్రయత్నం చేస్తున్నట్టు లెక్క. అండ్ దేర్ ఫోర్ దిస్ ఇస్ ద రైట్ వన్. అండ్ నౌ యూ మూవ్ ఆన్ టు అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్. 135th question. The direct method discourages. You know about the direct method. Direct method means teaching the second language, that is the target language, in the target language itself. Target language ni target language lone చెప్పడం. Okay, English లోనే చెప్పడం. That is the meaning here. Okay, and use of the direct method discourages what? Use of realia, no. Okay, and grammar instruction in context, no. Listening practice, no. But only translation. I am going to Hyderabad వెళ్తున్నాను. This is called translation. L2 లో చెప్పి మళ్ళీ L1 లో కూడా చెప్తే that is called translation. So this is discouraged by this method, right? You go to the next question. 136th question. The principle of focus on form in ELT refers to focus on form. What is this focus on form in ELT? What does this focus on form refer to? So this focus on form okay, is nothing but drawing the learner's attention to specific language features such as grammar and vocabulary. అంటే లర్నర్ యొక్క దృష్టిని లాంగ్వేజ్ యొక్క స్పెసిఫిక్ విషయాల వైపుకు లాగడాన్ని దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ఫోకస్ ఆన్ ఫార్మ్ అంటారు. And for example, during the role play activity, the teacher will highlight very briefly on the use of the past tense. రోల్ ప్లే యాక్టివిటీ చేస్తున్నప్పుడు టీచర్ ఏం చేస్తుంది లైట్గా, ఇగో దీని ద్వారా మీరు ఏం నేర్చుకుంటున్నారు, పాస్ట్ టెన్స్ యొక్క యూజ్ అని చెప్తూ అలా దాని గురించి చెప్పడం. సో దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ద టీచర్ ఈస్ డ్రాయింగ్ దేర్ అటెన్షన్ టు ద స్పెసిఫిక్ లాంగ్వేజ్ ఫీచర్స్. Okay, that is called focus on form. That's very important. And you go to the next thing, grammar based instruction, no. Ignoring errors, no. Mechanical drills, no. But focus on form refers to teaching form during communication. So during communication, the teacher will teach the form also, the construction of that sentence also, okay, the specific language features also. లాంగ్వేజ్ యొక్క స్పెసిఫిక్ ఫీచర్స్ చెప్తుంది. ఓ సింపుల్ ప్రెసెంట్ టెన్స్ అంటే ఇలా ఉంటుంది. ఇన్ ద థర్డ్ పర్సన్ సింగులర్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు యాడ్ ఎస్ ఆర్ ఈఎస్ టు ద మెయిన్ వర్బ్. So that point the teacher tells them very clearly. So that means she is drawing their attention to the specific detail. ఇగో ఈ స్పెసిఫిక్ డీటెయిల్ వైపుకు ఆ టీచరు ఆ పిల్లల యొక్క దృష్టిని మరల్చడం. సో దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ఫోకస్ ఆన్ ఫార్మ్ ఇన్ ELT. సో టీచింగ్ ఫార్మ్ during communication. So therefore this is the right one. Now you move on to other questions. 137th question. A rubric in assessment helps with what does this rubric in assessment mean? First of all, let me give you some idea about this rubric. Okay, this rubric is nothing but a scoring guide, right? A scoring guide. This rubric is nothing but a scoring guide. Okay, use it to evaluate. Okay, this guide is used to evaluate what the students work, okay, based on predefined criteria and performance levels. Predefined criteria means maybe criteria means here what is that criteria means maybe grammar or vocabulary, whatever it is. And performance levels means what, excellent, very good, fair, poor. These are the performance levels. So based on what is that predefined criteria and performance levels. ఇగో ఈ predefined criteria మీద ఏంటి లెవెల్స్ మీద ఆధారపడి ఈ యొక్క స్టూడెంట్ యొక్క వర్క్ ను ఎవాల్యుయేట్ చేయడానికి పనికి వచ్చేటటువంటి ఆ స్కోరింగ్ గైడ్ నే రూబ్రిక్ అని అంటారు. సో ఏ రూబ్రిక్ ఇన్ అసెస్మెంట్ హెల్ప్స్ విత్ వాట్, సెలెక్టింగ్ టెస్ట్ నో, క్లాస్ రూమ్ డిసిప్లిన్ నో, ఎన్హాన్సింగ్ vocab no, but defining evaluation criteria. It tells us about the evaluation criteria. The criteria may be grammar, the criteria may be vocabulary, the criteria may be some transformation of sentences, whatever it might be. This rubric helps with defining evaluation criteria. Therefore, this third one is only the right one. And now you move on to the next question. In a formative assessment, the primary goal is formative assessment, summative assessment. About these two kinds of assessment, you know very well. And what is this formative assessment? Reporting results, no. Final grading, okay, no. Certification, no. Feedback for learning. So that is there. Feedback for learning. Every time the teacher teaches the students something, the teacher wants the feedback about that. Whether the matter taught by her or him is understood by the students or not. తాను చెప్పినటువంటి విషయం పిల్లలకి అర్థమైందా లేదా తెలుసుకోవడం, దట్ ఈస్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఫర్ ఎ టీచర్. So that is called feedback for learning. That is what the primary goal of this formative assessment. Formative assessment యొక్క ఉద్దేశమే అది. పిల్లలు తాను చెప్పిన దాన్ని ఎలా రిసీవ్ చేసుకుంటున్నారు, వెదర్ దే ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ ఇట్ ఆర్ నాట్ అని ఎవ్రీ టైం తెలుసుకోవడానికి ఆ టీచర్లు ట్రై చేస్తూ ఉండాలి. అందుకే టీచర్లు కొందరు అంటుంటారు, నేనైతే నా పిల్లలు ఆర్ యు ఫాలోయింగ్ మీ అని ఊత పదంగా అంటూ ఉండేవాడిని. So here the teacher wants to know whether the students are able to follow him or her or not. తను ఆ పిల్లలు ఫాలో అవుతున్నారా లేదా తెలుసుకోవాలని ప్రయత్నం చేయడమే ఇగో ఈ ఫార్మేటివ్ అసెస్మెంట్ యొక్క ప్రైమరీ గోల్. ఓకే, అండ్ నౌ యు మూవ్ ఆన్ టు అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్. 139th question. Which one is an example of top down processing in listening? top-down processing in listening. I think you, for the first time you are coming across this term top-down processing. What is this top-down processing? Okay, I'll give you some idea about this top-down processing. Top-down processing is nothing but reading or listening comprehension strategy where the learners use their background knowledge, context, expectations to understand the overall meaning even before focusing on individual words or sentences or structures. So that is what is called the top down processing. ఈ టాప్ డౌన్ ప్రాసెసింగ్ అంటే అది ఒక రీడింగ్ లిజనింగ్ కాంప్రిహెన్షన్ స్ట్రాటజీ. ఇందులో పిల్లలు ఏం చేస్తుంటారు, స్టూడెంట్స్ వాళ్ళకున్న పరిజ్ఞానాన్ని ఆధారంగా చేసుకొని ఆ మ్యాటర్ను మొత్తం చదవకముందే దాని గురించి పూర్తిగా అర్థం చేసుకోవడానికి తమకున్న బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ నాలెడ్జ్ని బట్టి అలా అర్థం చేసుకోవడం ప్రయత్నిస్తుంటారు. సో దట్ ఈస్ దేర్ ఫర్ కాల్డ్ టాప్ డౌన్ ప్రాసెసింగ్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇన్ ద న్యూస్ పేపర్ పహల్గామ్ అని మీకు కనిపించింది అనుకోండి, ఇమీడియట్లీ వాట్ యూ డూ, యూ అండర్స్టాండ్ దట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ ద పహల్గామ్ ఇన్సిడెంట్ దట్ occurred in Kashmir where the terrorists have killed the Indian tourists and all that. So at once you come across that one. So Pahalgam means, about this Pahalgam incident, whatever may be the matter given in the newspaper, you immediately understand all about that because you have that background knowledge, background context and everything, and basing on that background knowledge you are able to understand the newspaper headline even before reading the entire news and all that. న్యూస్పేపర్లో వచ్చే హెడ్లైన్స్ ను ఆల్రెడీ మనకు ఫైల్గామ్ ఇన్సిడెంట్ తెలుసు కాబట్టి న్యూస్ పేపర్లో ఫైల్గామ్ ఇన్సిడెంట్ అనే హెడ్లైన్ రాగానే దాని గురించి మొత్తం మనకు ఐడియా వస్తుంటుంది, అసలు ఏమైంది ఏం సంగతి. సో ఇలా ఒక లిజనింగ్ కాంప్రిహెన్షన్లో కానీ లీడింగ్ కాంప్రిహెన్షన్లో కానీ ఇలా తమకున్న బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ సహాయంతో, బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ నాలెడ్జ్ సహాయంతో ముందుగానే ఆ విషయాన్ని పసిగట్టేటటువంటి తెలివితేటలు ఏమంటారంటే top down processing, that is there, right? And here you pay attention, identifying sounds, no; recognizing phonemes, no; predicting from context. So from the context you predict what has happened there, okay. And parsing syntax, that's also not the correct one, right? And you go to the next question, 140th question. The main aim, that means the objective of project based learning. You know about this project based learning. Project based learning is nothing but practical learning. So what is the aim of this project based learning means, here teach grammar deductively, no; encourage rote learning, no; test memory, no; but promote real world application. So the main objective of this project based learning is only to promote real world application. So you have to apply whatever you have learned in the real life. నువ్వు నేర్చుకున్న విషయాన్ని మరి మీ నిత్య జీవితంలో దాన్ని యథాతథంగా వాడుకోవడం, దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ రియల్ వరల్డ్ అప్లికేషన్. నిత్య జీవితంలో దాన్ని వాడుకోవడము, దాన్ని వాడడము, సో దాన్ని ఉపయోగించడం. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద మెయిన్ ఎయిమ్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ బేస్డ్ లెర్నింగ్. నౌ యూ మూవ్ ఆన్ టు అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్. 141st question. In ELT, eclectic approach means, what is this eclectic approach? Let me give you some idea about this approach. What is this approach? It is nothing but a flexible, okay, flexible teaching method, okay. It's a flexible teaching method. This combines techniques and methods from different language teaching approaches. So from different language teaching methods, some techniques and methods are adopted and they are combined in this flexible teaching method, selecting what best suits for the students and the context. It is a flexible, okay, flexible teaching, okay, method, right? It is a flexible teaching method. This combines techniques and methods from different language teaching approaches, selecting what best suits for the students and for the context. So students ku ఏది ఎక్కువ సూట్ అవుతుందో అలాంటి టెక్నిక్స్ ను మెథడ్స్ ను కలుపుకుంటూ ఈ యొక్క మెథడ్ ను రూపొందించడం, that is called a flexible teaching method. ఆ flexible teaching method ని eclectic approach అని అంటారు. For example, while teaching some language, to the students, the teacher might use some grammar translation. For clarity sake, ఒక లాంగ్వేజ్ చెప్తున్నప్పుడు టీచర్ కొంత గ్రామర్ ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ కూడా వాడవచ్చును ఫర్ క్లారిటీ సెక్ అండ్ కమ్యూనికేటివ్ యాక్టివిటీస్ ఫర్ ఫ్లూయెన్సీ ఇన్ ఆర్డర్ టు టీచ్ దిస్ లాంగ్వేజ్ పార్ట్. సో ఒక లాంగ్వేజ్ చెప్పేటప్పుడు టీచరు క్లారిటీ కోసం గ్రామర్ ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ వాడుకోవచ్చును, మరి ఫ్లూయెన్సీ కోసం కమ్యూనికేటివ్ యాక్టివిటీస్ వాడుకోవచ్చు. Therefore, this eclectic approach is called a flexible teaching method. Now, let us look at the options given here. Using only one method, no. Avoiding old methods, no. Combining techniques and as needed. So, in this teaching of something, the teacher is making use of some techniques of grammar translation, communicative activities, task-based learning, and all such activities, all such techniques the teacher is using. And therefore, this is only very important. Focusing on speech alone, no. Therefore, A, B are wrong. Only C is the right one. And now you move on to the next question. 142nd question. Silent way uses which of the following most prominently? So the silent way teaching method is there. What does this use most prominently? Okay, right. And before you look at the options, let me give you some idea about this silent way teaching. Okay, silent way method. This silent way is a teaching method. Okay, it is a teaching method developed by whom? Developed by Caleb. Okay, Getegno. So this Caleb Getegno, please remember the name of that person who has developed this teaching method. So this silent way is a kind of teaching method. This was developed by Caleb Getegno. And in this silent way teaching method, what happens now? The teacher remains silent, okay, most of the time. In this teaching method, the teacher remains silent most of the time, encouraging the learners, okay, to discover and produce language independently. వీళ్ళే సొంతంగా ఆ విషయాన్ని తెలుసుకునేటందుకు ఎంకరేజ్ చేస్తూ చాలా మట్టుకు ఈ మెథడ్ లో టీచర్ సైలెంట్ గానే ఉంటుండు. The teacher will be silent most of the time, encouraging the learners to discover and produce language independently. So that is the beautiful method of teaching, that is silent way. It has been developed by Caleb Getegno, right? And here pay attention. Oral repetition, no. Teacher explanations, no. And translation, no. And questionnaire rods and color charts. So questionnaire rods means some teaching material. These are all taken under teaching material. The teaching material will be there on the board, and the students will be looking at the teaching material, and they will be discovering and producing language independently. So therefore, questionnaire rods and color charts. So వీటిని వాడుకుంటూ పిల్లలు తమ సొంతంగా లాంగ్వేజ్ ను ఆ విషయాన్ని తెలుసుకుంటూ నేర్చుకుంటూ ఉంటారు. So that is, and the teacher will be silent most of the time. Only here and there the teacher will be helping them understand certain things. That's all. For most of the period, the teacher remains calm and quiet, right? And that is why this teaching method is called silent way method, right? And all are wrong except this questionnaire rods and color charts. Now you move on to look at other questions. 143rd question. Authentic materials are beneficial because authentic materials. What are the authentic materials? Means they are always easier, they are simplified, okay, they require no preparation, but they reflect a real language use. This is the right one. Authentic materials, authentic teaching materials, బోధించేటటువంటి ఒక నిజమైనటువంటి వస్తువులు ఏం చేస్తుంటాయి? దే రిఫ్లెక్ట్ రియల్ లాంగ్వేజ్ యూజ్. ఓకే, దే హెల్ప్ ద రియల్ లాంగ్వేజ్ యూజ్, అండ్ దట్ ఈస్ దేర్. ఓకే, authentic materials are beneficial because they reflect real language use. That's the right one. And you move on to the next question. 144th question. Bloom's taxonomy does not include. So this Bloom's taxonomy is there. So before you look at the options and choose the correct option, you first of all try to understand what this Bloom's taxonomy means. Let us now try to understand this Bloom's taxonomy, right? What is this Bloom's taxonomy? It is a hierarchical, okay, okay, hierarchical, step by step hierarchical model, okay, model developed by Benjamin Bloom. It is developed by Benjamin Bloom. Okay, this was developed, this hierarchical model developed by Benjamin Bloom. And what happens in this hierarchical model means it is used to classify. Okay, it is used to classify. Classify means you know very well. You classify, divide. What? Educational. Okay, educational, right? Educational learning objectives. Learning object. What are the educational learning objectives? It progresses from the low order to high order. So from this is there low order to high order. 1, 2, 3, 4 like the hierarchical order. విద్యార్జన యొక్క ఉద్దేశాలు ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ లెర్నింగ్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ ఏంటి సో ఫస్ట్ వన్ ఈజ్ ఎక్స్ వై జెడ్ సో లోయర్ ఆర్డర్ టు హైయర్ ఆర్డర్ పోతుంటారు దిస్ ద హైరార్కికల్ ఆర్డర్ ఇలా ఎడ్యుకేషనల్ లెర్నింగ్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ ని లోయర్ ఆర్డర్ నుంచి హయ్యర్ ఆర్డర్స్ కి ఇలా రాసి పెట్టుకోవడం అలా క్లాసిఫై చేయడం అనేది అయితే ఉందో దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ బ్లూమ్స్ టాక్సానమీ నౌ లెట్ us look at the options given here okay Bloom's taxonomy does not include okay analyzing is included therefore this is wrong remember is included creating is included but memorizing is not included and therefore this is only the right option now you move on to other questions 145th question metacognition in language learning involves. What did this metacognition in language learning involve means? Here first of all you try to know about this metacognition. What is this metacognition? Yes, this metacognition provides what the learner, okay, it provides the learner the awareness of his own learning process and it also allows him, okay, it also allows him to evaluate his own understanding. ఒక ఈ మెటాకాగ్నిషన్ ఏం చేస్తుందంటే ఆ పిల్లవాడికి తాను ఏమి నేర్చుకుంటున్నాడు అనేది తెలియజేస్తూ తాను నేర్చుకున్న దాన్ని ఎవాల్యుయేట్ చేసేటటువంటి ఆ ఎబిలిటీని కూడా వాడికి ఇస్తుంది. Therefore, what happens now? A student is there. Take for granted. A student, after reading a passage, what does he do? He thinks about it. He tests whether he has really and clearly understood that passage or not. So that kind of checking is called this metacognition. పిల్లవాడు ఒక ప్యాసేజ్ చదివాడు ఆ ప్యాసేజ్ అతనికి అర్థమైందా లేదా అని వాడు చెక్ చేసుకుంటాడు అనుకోండి ఆ చెక్ చేసుకునేటటువంటి అలాంటి ఎబిలిటీని దట్ ఎబిలిటీ is called metacognition. And here you pay attention, memorizing vocabulary, no, grammar drills, no, listening for detail, no, but thinking about one's learning strategies. So thinking about the things one has learned. Okay, and you go to the next one, 146th one. The synthetic approach in syllabus design focuses on. What is this synthetic approach? I think it is also again an unfamiliar aspect to you. ఇది మళ్ళీ మీకు ఒక అన్ఫెమిలియర్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ అనుకుంటాను. సో ఐ వుడ్ లైక్ టు టాక్ టు యూ అబౌట్ దిస్ సింథటిక్ అప్రోచ్. ఇట్స్ వెరీ సింపుల్ అండ్ వెరీ ఈజీ. నౌ let me give you some idea about this synthetic approach in language teaching. Okay, in language teaching, this synthetic approach, okay, this synthetic approach involves presenting okay individual language items separately, individual language items separately and later on combining all of them into larger units for communication. But that means first of all it involves in presenting the individual language items. So before I take up the tenses, before I take up the tenses, what I do, I don't teach the students tenses straight away, but first of all I teach them about the helping verbs, about the main verbs, and later on personal pronouns, because to learn the tenses you need personal pronouns, you need the help of personal pronouns. So I teach them separately about the helping verbs, about the main verbs, about the personal pronouns. After teaching all these language individual language items separately, I combine all of them together into bigger units or larger units to teach the students these tenses. ఇలా ఇండివిజువల్ లాంగ్వేజ్ ఐటమ్స్ ను సపరేట్ గా చెప్పి వాటన్నిటి తిరిగి కలబోసుకొని ఒక విషయాన్ని చెప్పడము, దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ సింథటిక్ అప్రోచ్. అండ్ నౌ యూ లుక్ ఎట్ ద ఆప్షన్స్. లెర్నింగ్ చంక్స్, నో. హోల్ లాంగ్వేజ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్, నో. థీమెటిక్ ఇంటిగ్రేషన్, no, but gradual build-up of parts. Just now I have told you about the individual language parts, individual language items. మొదట ఆ టాపిక్ సంబంధించినటువంటి ఐటమ్స్ సపరేట్గా చెప్పి వాటన్నిటిని మళ్ళీ కంబైన్ చేస్తూ చెప్పడం. సో గ్రాడ్యువల్ బిల్డప్ ఆఫ్ పార్ట్స్ అన్నిటిని గ్రాడ్యువల్గా లార్జర్ యూనిట్గా చెప్పడం. సో దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ సింథటిక్ అప్రోచ్. నౌ దిస్ ఈస్ ఆన్ ద రైట్ ఆప్షన్ అండ్ ఆల్ అదర్స్ ఆర్ రాంగ్. అండ్ నౌ యూ మూవ్ ఆన్ టు అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్. 147th question. appropriacy in sociolinguistic competence deals with. What does it deal with here? First of all, you try to know about this appropriacy. This appropriacy in sociolinguistic competence means it refers to the use of the use of the language according to the social context, okay, and according to the audience or according to the situation. So you make use of the language according to these three things. So the using of language according to the social context, according to the social audience and situation. So according to these things, if at all you happen to use the language, that itself is called appropriacy in sociolinguistic competence. అంటే సందర్భోచితంగా లాంగ్వేజ్ ని వాడడం. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇన్ ద ఫార్మల్ సెట్టింగ్, ఓకే, ఇన్ ద ఫార్మల్ సెట్టింగ్ వెన్ యు ఆర్ విత్ సమ్ elite people or educated people or respectable people, what do you say? Could you help me? You say, could you help me? నాకు సహాయం చేయగలరా? దిస్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ ఏ ఫార్మల్ సెట్టింగ్. బట్ ఇన్ అన్ ఇన్ఫార్మల్ సెట్టింగ్, ఓకే, ఇన్ఫార్మల్ సెట్టింగ్, what is that? Hey, give me a hand. In the informal setting with a friend, what do you say? Hey, give me a hand. ఓ చేయరా అనవా? అంటే నీ ఫ్రెండ్తో అయితే ఒకలాగుంది, ఇక్కడ చదువుకున్న వాళ్ళతో అయితే ఒకలాగా. సో ఇలా సందర్భోచితంగా లాంగ్వేజ్ని వాడడం ఏదైతే ఉందో, వ్యక్తులను బట్టి లాంగ్వేజ్ని వాడడం ఏమైతే ఉందో, సిచ్యువేషన్ బట్టి లాంగ్వేజ్ వాడడం ఏదైతే ఉందో, దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ అప్రోప్రియసీ ఇన్ సోషియోలింగ్విస్టిక్ కాంపిటెన్స్ అంటారు. రైట్, అండ్ యూ గో టు ద నెక్స్ట్ వన్. కరెక్ట్ ప్రొనౌన్సియేషన్, నో. సూటబిలిటీ ఆఫ్ లాంగ్వేజ్ టు కాంటెక్స్ట్, దిస్ ద రైట్ వన్. Okay, translation accuracy, no. Grammatical perfection, no. So the B1 is the right one. And now you go to the next question, 148th question. A criterion reference test measures. Criterion reference test. What does this criterion reference test mean? Asalu ee criterion reference test ante emiti? Let us have a look at the meaning of this. Okay, a criterion reference test means it is a test that measures, okay, that measures a learner's performance, okay, a learner's performance, how? Against a fixed set of standards, against a fixed, okay, a set of standards, or learning objectives, okay, that is there. So set of standards కు అనుగుణంగా ఉందా లేదా, లేకుంటే లెర్నింగ్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ కి అనుగుణంగా ఉందా లేదా తెలుసుకోవడానికి పెట్టేటటువంటి ఆ టెస్ట్ ని క్రైటీరియన్ రెఫరెన్స్డ్ టెస్ట్ అని చెప్పండి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ డ్రైవింగ్ టెస్ట్ ఇస్ దెర్ ఆర్ సమ్ ఫిక్స్డ్ సెట్ ఆఫ్ స్టాండర్డ్స్. ఈ డ్రైవింగ్ కు కొన్ని సెట్ ఆఫ్ స్టాండర్డ్స్ ఉంటాయి, లెర్నింగ్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ ఉంటాయి. అకార్డింగ్ టు దట్ ఓన్లీ యూ హ్యావ్ టు డ్రైవ్ ద కార్. లెఫ్ట్ కు టర్న్ చేయండి, లెఫ్ట్ కు, రైట్ కంటే రైట్ కు, రివర్స్ అంటే రివర్స్, బయటికి తొంగి చూడకుండా ఇటు ఈ సైడ్ మిర్రర్స్ చూసుకుంటూ యూ హ్యావ్ టు రివర్స్ ద కార్. సో అది దట్ ఇస్ మోర్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. దిస్ ఇస్ దేర్ ఫర్ కాల్డ్ క్రైటీరియన్ రెఫరెన్స్ టెస్ట్. GMAT టెస్ట్ ఉందనుకోండి, లేకుంటే వాట్ ఇస్ దట్ టోఫెల్ టెస్ట్ ఉందనుకోండి, ఇవన్నీ దే ఆర్ ఆల్ క్రైటీరియన్ రెఫరెన్స్ టెస్ట్. ద రిజల్ట్ ఆఫ్ దోస్ టెస్ట్ కెనాట్ బి కంపేర్డ్ విత్ రిజల్ట్స్ ఆఫ్ అదర్స్. ఈ వీళ్ళ రిజల్ట్ ను వేరే వాళ్ళతో పోల్చి చెప్పేది ఏం లేదు, నోట్ కంపారిజన్ ఎట్ ఆల్. బట్ నో వెదర్ ద పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ద లర్నర్స్ ఈజ్ వెల్ అకార్డింగ్ టు ద ఫిక్స్డ్ సెట్ ఆఫ్ స్టాండర్డ్స్ అండ్ లెర్నింగ్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్, దట్ ఈస్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. వీళ్ళకి పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ ఫిక్స్డ్ సెట్ ఆఫ్ స్టాండర్డ్స్ కు తగినట్టుగా ఉందా, లెర్నింగ్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ కు తగినట్టుగా ఉందా తెలుసుకోవడమే ద మెయిన్ మోటో ఆర్ ద మెయిన్ పర్పస్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ టెస్ట్. అండ్ డ్రైవింగ్ టెస్ట్ అలాంటిది. ఆ టెస్ట్ లో వాడు కరెక్ట్ గా రూల్స్ ప్రకారంగా డ్రైవ్ చేస్తున్నాడా లేదా, అంతే కదా. సో టోఫెల్ ఉందనుకోండి, పెట్టిన స్టాండర్డ్ లెర్నింగ్ ఆబ్జెక్టివ్స్ ఉంటాయి, దాని ప్రకారంగా వాడు దాన్ని చేయగలుగుతున్నా లేడా, దట్ ఈస్ దేర్, అంతే. బట్ దట్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ టెస్ట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ క్రైటీరియన్ బేస్డ్ టెస్ట్. ఇట్ మెజర్స్ వాట్? స్టూడెంట్స్ అగేన్స్ట్ ఈచ్ అదర్, నో, అగేన్స్ట్ ఫిక్స్డ్ స్టాండర్డ్స్. అంటే ఫిక్స్డ్ స్టాండర్డ్స్ కు తగినట్టుగా ఆ వాడు పెర్ఫామ్ చేస్తుండా లేదా తెలుసుకునేదే ఈ యొక్క టెస్ట్. ర్యాండమ్ రెస్పాన్సెస్, నో. కల్చరల్ నాలెడ్జ్, నో. సో దేర్ ఫోర్ దిస్ బి ఈజ్ ఓన్లీ ద రైట్ వన్. అండ్ నౌ యూ మూవ్ ఆన్ టు అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్. 149th question. Morphology is the study of what? Sentence patterns, no. Sound systems, no. Pragmatic use, no. But word formation, this is called morphology. Okay, and then 150th question. Extensive reading develops What does this extensive reading develop? So it develops grammar control, no, note taking, no, academic skills, no, but reading for pleasure and fluency. So that only it develops. It develops pleasure of reading, and it also develops fluency. Right. Now you move on to other questions. 151st question. In listening comprehension, the first stage involves. So in listening comprehension, what happens? For the first time, inference making. No, inference making means you guess and give the answer. So inference, it doesn't take place. And evaluating speaker's intent. So you cannot evaluate speaker's intent only by listening, right? And oral summarizing, no, but only hearing and decoding. In listening comprehension, the first thing you do is only hearing and decoding. మొట్టమొదటిగా వినేటటువంటి ఆ కాంప్రిహెన్షన్ టెస్ట్లో ఏం చేస్తావు? ఫస్ట్ వింటావు, దాన్ని డీకోడ్ చేసుకుంటావు, దాన్ని దాని యొక్క మీనింగ్ ను అర్థం చేసుకుంటాం. దట్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ థింగ్ యూ డూ. ద ఫస్ట్ స్టేజ్ ఈజ్ ఓన్లీ హియరింగ్ అండ్ decoding. Therefore this is the right one. And you go on to the next question. 152nd question. Minimal pair differs by. Minimal pair is there. Minimal pair, okay, it differs by stress. Okay, one sound only. Morphological structure, no. Sentence portion, no. So here pat is there, mat is there. So at same, but here pat and mat. So this is called minimal pair. ఒకే శబ్దముతో రెండు మాటలు వేరు చేయబడితే దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ మినిమల్ పేర్. ఇందులో ఏమైంది? ఇక్కడ పా, ఇక్కడ మా, ప్యాట్, మ్యాట్, రైట్. అండ్ దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ఎ మినిమల్ పేర్. అండ్ నౌ యూ మూవ్ ఆన్ టు అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్. ద డిస్కోర్స్ కాంపిటెన్స్ రెఫర్స్ టు using words correctly, no. Knowing idioms, no. Spelling accuracy, no. But linking ideas across sentences. So that is discourse competence. In this discourse competence, you link ideas across sentences. Okay. And here 154th question. In language skills integration, the primary focus should be on language skills integration. Language skills. What are the language skills? L, S, R, W. These are the language skills. The primary focus should be on, while integrating all of them together, what should be there? Teaching one skill at a time, no. Reading only, no. And combining receptive and productive skills. This is there. So here L R receptive skills, S W productive skills. This is L, this is P. Okay, please you can understand. L R receptive skills, S W productive skills. So you are in language skills integration. Language skills integration and empty. So it is nothing but combining receptive skills and productive skills. That is only the meaning, avoiding grammar. So this why C is the right one. Now you move on to other questions. 155th question. Error analysis helps teachers. You know, what is this error analysis? So this error analysis is nothing but a process of identifying, categorizing, studying the learner's language errors. And this analysis tells the teachers where the students are lagging behind. And that is why this is a very, very important analysis for the teachers. Punish learners, no. Ignore mistakes, no. Understanding learner challenges is correct one. Enforce L1 usage, wrong. So this is the right one. You go to the next question. 156th question. A closed test evaluates. Closed test is that. Close, this is not this close. CLOSE close is different from CLOZE. Close. Close means what? CLOZE close means to supply words. To supply words into the blanks. ఖాళీలలోనికి మాటలను సప్లై చేయడాన్ని క్లోజ్ అంటాం. So this close is different from this regular close. Okay, and close test means you have to supply words into the blanks. And what does this test evaluate? Here you pay attention. Pronunciation, no. Writing speed, no. Listening, no. But contextual understanding. Only whenever you can understand the context, you can supply the word in that blank. ఆ సెంటెన్స్ యొక్క కాంటెక్స్ట్ అర్థమైతే కదా అక్కడ ఇచ్చిన బ్లాంక్ లోను వర్డ్ పెట్టేది. అందుకే ఇన్ ద బ్యాంకింగ్ ఎగ్జామినేషన్ యూ కమ్ అక్రాస్ దిస్ క్లోజ్ టెస్ట్ వెరీ ఫ్రీక్వెంట్లీ. అండ్ ఓన్లీ టు ఎవాల్యుయేట్ ద కాంటెక్చువల్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఆఫ్ ద క్యాండిడేట్. ఆ క్యాండిడేట్ యొక్క కాంటెక్చువల్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఎలా ఉంది, ఆ సందర్భంలో ఏ మాట వాడాలనుకుంటున్నాడు, వాడు ఏ మాట వాడుతున్నాడు, అది తెలుసుకో అనే ఉద్దేశంతో దట్ ఈస్ ద పర్పస్, దట్ ఈస్ ద మెయిన్ పర్పస్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ క్లోజ్ టెస్ట్ being conducted in the banking examinations. Okay, and here this is the right one. And now you move on to other questions. 157th question. A bottom-up approach in reading emphasizes. What is this bottom-up approach? It is also an unfamiliar aspect to all of you, I think. And what is this bottom-up approach? This bottom-up approach is nothing but a comprehension process. Simple comprehension process where the learners build understanding, okay, from smaller units, understanding language from smaller units, like smaller units, sounds, okay, sounds, words, okay, grammar, etc. ఇలా sounds, words, grammar చెప్పుకుంటూ బిఫోర్ ఇంటర్ప్రిటింగ్ ద ఓవరాల్ మీనింగ్, అంటే ఆ మ్యాటర్ యొక్క ఓవరాల్ మీనింగ్ ను చెప్పడానికి ముందు, వివరించడానికి ముందు, తెలుసుకోవడానికి ముందు వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తుంటారంటే లెర్నర్స్ బిల్డప్ దేర్ ఓన్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఆఫ్ ద లాంగ్వేజ్ ఫ్రమ్ ద బిగిన్ దట్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ స్మాలర్ యూనిట్స్. ఆ విషయాన్ని మెల్లమెల్లగా నేర్చుకుని మొత్తం ఒకసారి చెప్పేస్తారు. ద లెర్నర్స్ బిల్డప్ దేర్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ స్మాలర్ యూనిట్స్, లైక్ ఫస్ట్ సౌండ్స్, వర్డ్స్, గ్రామర్, ఇగో సౌండ్స్ తర్వాత వర్డ్స్ తర్వాత గ్రామర్, ఇలా అన్ని మెల్లమెల్లగా నేర్చుకుని మొత్తం ఒకసారి దాని యొక్క అర్థం తెలుసుకుంటారు. సో దిస్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ వాట్, ద బాటమ్ అప్ అప్రోచ్, okay, in reading. Okay, it's a comprehension process. And what are the options given here? Predicting meanings, no. Understanding from prior knowledge, no. Cultural context, no. But decoding letters and sounds. First of all, they begin to learn the language from smaller units. Okay, therefore they decode the letters and they decode the sounds, and afterwards words, and afterwards grammar, and in that way they begin to learn something from smaller units, okay, before they learn the bigger things and all that. So this is therefore called the bottom up approach. And you go to the next question. Call in ELT stands for, what does this call stand for? CALL in ELT stands for what? Communicative and listening learning, no. Communication and applied language learning, no. Computer assisted language learning. Call means computer assisted language learning. Computer సహాయంతో లాంగ్వేజ్ నేర్చుకోవడాన్ని కాల్ అని అంటారు. కరికులం అసెస్మెంట్ ఫర్ లెర్నింగ్ లాంగ్వేజ్. నౌ సో దేర్ ఫర్ దిస్ ఇస్ ద రైట్ వన్. నౌ యూ మూవ్ ఆన్ టు ఆన్సర్ ద లాస్ట్ సెట్ ఆఫ్ క్వశ్చన్స్. The last but one question is 159th question. Interdisciplinary approach in ELT encourages what? Interdisciplinary approach. First of all, you try to learn about this approach. What is this approach? This approach integrates, okay, okay, knowledge and methods from multiple subjects. Okay, it integrates knowledge and methods from multiple subjects, okay, to solve a problem more holistically. For example, combining literature and history and sociology in order to understand a historical novel. So in order to understand the historical novel, what are you doing? You are trying to learn about literature, history and sociology. After learning these three things only, you can understand all about the historical novel. This is only therefore called interdisciplinary approach. And now you look at the options. Memorizing poems, no. Translation, no. Dictation, no. But linking language with other subjects. So this is on the right one. 160th question. This is the last question of this section. Noticing hypothesis, okay, and by Schmidt suggests that. So what is this noticing hypothesis? This hypothesis is proposed, okay, by Richard Schmidt. Okay, Schmidt, okay, not D silent, Richard Schmidt. This hypothesis was proposed by Richard Schmidt, and this hypothesis suggests what? Okay, this suggests that learners must consciously notice language features in input in order to acquire them. For example, a learner improves the use of articles, okay, only after he starts noticing how the natives use them. So only after you notice how the natives use the articles, you can understand the difference and all that, and then you can improve the use of articles and all that. So that means, the learners must consciously notice the language features in input. వాళ్ళు నేర్చుకునే విషయాలను చాలా జాగ్రత్తగా అబ్జర్వ్ చేయాలి, ఎందుకంటే ఇన్ ఆర్డర్ టు అక్వైర్ దెమ్. వాటిని అట్లా అబ్జర్వ్ చేస్తేనే యూ కెన్ అక్వైర్ దెమ్, అదర్వైజ్ యూ కెనాట్. సో దట్ ఈస్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ దిస్ నోటీసింగ్ hypothesis. It was proposed by Richard Schmidt, and that is there. And now what are the options given here? Grammar is innate. Okay, learners must notice features to acquire them. This the second one is the right one. Communication alone is not enough. Repetition leads to acquisition. No, so only this B1 is the right one. And with this the questions on methodology will come to an end. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hello dear DSC candidates, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have still any more problems in understanding any of the things I have dealt with in this video, please make a mention of it in the comment section. And I think this is the last day for you, and tomorrow you are going to take your examination, and therefore I wish you all best of luck, and may God bless you all, and may God be with you in the examination hall and help you in every possible way. Okay, with this I take leave of you. Thank you very much.